In a cave, a man prepares a potion for a troll who states that Camelot and its riches will soon be hers. She then drinks the potion, transforming herself into a beautiful woman. The next day they arrive at Camelot. In Camelot, Gaius and Merlin walk while Merlin complains about having to carry so many pots for Gaius. Just then the man, who is named Jonas, grabs Merlin and asks to see Uther Pendragon, pushing a seal into his hands. Gaius recognizes the seal as belonging to House of Treger and questions where he got it. The woman reveals herself. A shocked Gaius recognizes her as the Lady Katrina. Katrina and Jonas then meet Uther, who states that the kingdom of Treger had fallen to invaders. Katrina confirms this and reveals that they were outnumbered and everyone, including her father, the king, was lost except Katrina and her servant Jonas. Gaius looks on with suspicion at Katrina, who swoons and is caught by Uther. She pleads for a bed for the night and Uther obliges, stating that it will be an honor. Merlin is given the task of showing them to their chambers. As soon as he leaves them, Katrina hunches over and starts complaining about the room being too clean. Jonas promises he will find a more suitable place and Katrina breathes on the food in the room, turning it rotten with maggots, which she devours hungrily.
At dinner, Uther states that it is an honor to give help to the House of Tregor, which has long been allied to the House of Pendragon. Katrina does not eat her food. Uther flirts heavily with Katrina, much to Arthur's disgust, while Morgana just smiles in amusement. Arthur fakes a yawn and excuses himself. Morgana follows. Katrina also leaves. She thanks Uther for his aid and smiles as she walks away.
Meanwhile, Gaius is preparing a potion while Merlin remarks that Katrina and her servant Jonas have been very kind towards him, to which Gaius states she was always very gracious and that he knew her a long time ago. Gaius tells Merlin to give Katrina the potion with his compliments and Merlin leaves. Katrina returns to her room and sees a fresh fruit platter sent by Uther. She calls it revolting and breathes on it, turning it rotten. She begins eating it while stating that Uther is starting to fall for her charms.
Merlin walks in and sees Katrina eating the rotten fruit. However, she quickly composes herself and welcomes him cordially. He then presents the potion to Katrina, who states she requires no medicine. A surprised Merlin asks her again and she confirms she is in perfect health.
Merlin leaves and relays this to Gaius, who states that when Katrina was young she suffered from a rare and incurable bone disorder that caused pain to her joints, especially after a long ride. His tonic was the only thing that brought her relief, and this makes Gaius and Merlin suspicious.
The next day Uther and Katrina head out for a morning ride. However, Katrina grimaces when she sees a basket of food prepared for the ride. Merlin walks into Katrina's room with a basket and begins searching for clues to her identity. He is caught by Jonas, however, and quickly makes an excuse that he was collecting the bed sheets. Jonas reminds Merlin to take the sheets with him, and as Jonas hands them over, Merlin notices a green tail. He quickly leaves while Jonas looks on with suspicion. Merlin returns to Gaius and reveals what he saw. He also notes that Katrina's bed has not been slept in and that there was a strange smell. Gaius states they must keep a close eye on her. Meanwhile, Uther and Katrina have dinner near a lake, discussing their past and their shared tragedy. While Uther is speaking of his pain over the loss of Wygrain, Katrina discreetly throws away her food. She then states that she and Uther are kindred spirits and he does not have to be alone anymore. On their return to Camelot they continue to flirt while Arthur looks on, appalled. When Merlin comments on how close they have become, Arthur remarks that his father is a wealthy and powerful man. Later Gaius meets Uther and comments on his good mood. He also reveals Katrina's incurable bone disorder to Uther and how miraculous her recovery seems. Uther tells Gaius he must have made a mistake and should accept that he could have been wrong. However, later that night, Uther asks Katrina about her bone disease. Katrina quickly covers and states that she recovered naturally and assuages Uther's suspicions. She tries to kiss him, but he pulls back in shock and remarks that it's been a long time since he's been romantically involved. Katrina says she understands and that they have time before pursuing a relationship. Merlin then follows Katrina as she leaves the castle. He enters Arthur's chambers and uses a spell to use a mirror to reveal Katrina's true form. He drops the mirror in shock as Arthur wakes up and assumes that he is spying on the Lady Katrina. He threatens him against doing something like that again and Merlin quickly excuses himself and leaves. Merlin then follows Katrina to the tunnels and sees her sleeping amongst rotten filth in her troll form. He quickly leaves but is seen by Jonas. Merlin returns to Gaius and reveals his discovery of Katrina's true form. Gaius states that trolls lurks in caves and feast on rotten filth. Merlin inquires as to why Katrina is in Camelot then and Gaius reveals that trolls are greedy and lust for wealth and power. Merlin realizes that Katrina desires Uther's wealth and power. Gaius rushes to tell Uther. However, Uther refuses to listen to Gaius's accusations towards Katrina and warns him to hold his tongue. Katrina returns to her chambers and Jonas reveals that Merlin has discovered her true identity. She decides to speed up her plans as a defeated Gaius returns to his chambers hoping Uther will see reason. Katrina and Jonas enchant an amulet with her blood to bend Uther to her will. Later when Katrina and Uther are together he recommends she leave Camelot due to rumors of their romance spreading. Katrina pretends to agree and gives Uther the amulet, claiming it was a gift from her father. The charm works and Uther falls under her spell fully. Uther then tells Gaius his fears were mistaken and that he considers the matter closed. Gaius returns to Merlin and states that Uther is besotted and will not listen to him. He pleads for Merlin to use magic to reveal Katrina's true form and they begin to study troll magic, while Katrina convinces Uther to make their relationship permanent so she can share his burden of kingship. Gaius and Merlin find a spell that will reveal Katrina's true form. A guard calls them to the council chamber and Uther announces that he will marry the Lady Katrina. Merlin tries to expose Katrina with the spell but she resists him. She returns to her chambers and quickly takes her potion. With the revelation that Merlin has magic she decides to set a trap for him. Gaius and Merlin return to their chambers and Merlin decides to inform Arthur of the truth despite Gaius's protests. Merlin goes to Arthur and reveals the truth. However, Arthur laughs it off and assumes Merlin is worried for his feelings towards Katrina. Arthur thanks Merlin for his concern, but remarks that as long as Katrina makes his father happy, that is all that counts. Merlin continues to protest but Arthur refuses to listen. As Merlin returns to his chambers Jonas confronts him and lies that Katrina is forcing him to serve her. He begs Merlin to stop her and tells him that she is in the caves beneath the castle. Merlin goes to confront her, but Katrina appears in her true form and uses a spell, which causes the rocks to fall in, trapping Merlin. Katrina leaves to marry Uther while Merlin desperately tries to break through the spell. He eventually succeeds, but he is too late and Uther and Katrina are married.